So basically, here's what we did. We did a tier list video with Seagull, Marbler, Flats, right? Ton of fun. But we always had a discussion, basically, where it was like, well, that hero might not do as well in this rank. So then I was like, you know what? How about we have players from each rank submit a tier list to see what their tier list would be. First one we're doing here is Bronze. So we have, I think, 6 tier lists here submitted by Bronze players. So it's basically a bunch of Bronze tier lists from Bronze players. This is the first tier list we have, and I'll go through and I'll see who submitted it after. We're going to start with S tier here. There's Ramatra, Reinhardt, Kiriko, and Moira. I knew Moira would be S tier. I would not be surprised in every single one of these tier lists if we see that Moira is either S tier or A tier, right? I think we actually had Moira as our, in the tier list we did in B tier, which actually, believe it or not, every other support was in A tier, which is we just like, Moira isn't played a ton, but I know in Bronze, Moira's played a lot, which is why we see Moira here. We've seen that a lot in the Bronze Bingo videos too. I'm surprised by Kiriko in S tier. I'm actually surprised by that. I didn't realize that Kiriko was dominating as much in Bronze either. Reinhardt, absolutely. I expected Reinhardt without a doubt to be in S tier. And then Ramatra. That makes sense. And then now we go to A tier, where it's Diva, Orisa, Sigma. Sigma's getting played a lot? Really? I'm surprised. Bastion, Reaper. Reaper being in the tier list here, I am not surprised by, because I hear that Reaper dominates in Bronze. Like, straight up, I hear that Reaper just dominates in games. Every time we learn a tier list, it's like, why is Reaper so low in the tier list? Because you don't see as much Reaper in top 500 games. Soldier 76, I get that. Sim and Torb, A tier. I 100%. Ana and Mercy. Now, Mercy, A tier, absolutely. But, surprised by Ana being there. I guess Ana's, even like, let's say that you're playing Ana and you're not playing it like, hitting every single heal or DPS. Nade alone is actually pretty good, so I can see that. Winston in B tier, you know what? When I first did her tier list, everybody was like, hey, how is Winston not in S tier? So now I see Winston in B tier. It's interesting. Hot Rod, thanks for the 2 months of tier 1. Thank you. And heck yeah, I appreciate that. Wrecking Ball in B tier? Okay, you know what? I see that. I see that. And the reason why I see that with Wrecking Ball is because Wrecking Ball isn't going to quite be S tier yet in Bronze. But I think Wrecking Ball's gotten better to where Wrecking Ball could do well. Ashe, Cass, Genji, Junkrat, Sojourn, Tracer, Widow, all in B tier. I'm surprised Junkrat's in B tier. I was fully expecting like Junkrat to be in like A or S tier on like these on like a tier list like this. That's what I thought. I just thought Junkrat gets so much value. And then Brig in B tier. Here's the problem with Brig, and why I think Brig can definitely struggle in some ranks, is because Brig, okay, sometimes people, like, we're still at the point where, like, people will just heal with their armor packs. Where's the healing from Brig from? Armor packs, that's it. But, as you know with Brig, the best way to heal with Brig is to proc Inspire. Even if you, like, use your flail across the map and you hit somebody with it, that procs Inspire. Proc and Inspire brings up the AoE heals, Brig's healing gets a lot better. Now we go to C tier on this list, Junker Queen Zarya. You know, it's funny because, like, this is so interesting seeing this tier list. Junker Queen and Zarya in C tier. Okay. Echo in C tier. Hanzo in C tier. Mei in C tier. Pharah in C tier. Bap and Zen. Now, one thing I want to say about this, too, and seeing this, like, tier list in general, is Pharah used to, from what I know, dominate in Bronze games for a long time, right? So to see Pharah, like, down in C tier now kind of just is interesting. And then Bap is in C tier. Well, I think Bap is, like, when you try to get, like, in Bronze games, are you able to get the full value when you're playing Bap? That I don't know. Because Bap is really good at doing a lot of damage and getting really good AoE healing. Like, you can, like, I think it really comes down to, like, the value there. I'm not surprised to see Zen here. Why know I'm not surprised to see Zen in C tier on this Bronze tier list? Because Zen is a hero that is a glass cannon, is exactly how Zen is. Zen gets value, not necessarily from the heals, but from the Discord Orb and the damage you do with Zen. So if you're not getting damage output on Zen, it really feels like you're doing nothing on Zen, right? Your healing orb is not the highest of heals. And then in D tier, Doomfist, Roadhog, Sombra, Lucio. Listen, I don't agree with Doomfist in D tier in general, but I can see why Doomfist would be in D tier for a Bronze tier list, because you have to play Doom well to get really good value on Doom. But once again, I haven't seen enough Bronze games to know how Doom actually is. Roadhog, I thought Roadhog would be a higher tier because even with, I don't know, we'll leave Roadhog there. Sombra I get, even though like Sombra's gotten a little bit better this season, and this is the one I'm very confused by. If you're in bronze, would you consider Lucio D tier? Is Lucio, because I feel like, here's my take on that. Even if they don't ride walls, right, and they only heal boost, the AoE healing on Lucio isn't that bad sometimes. And that's why I was surprised by this, because I feel like Lucio is one of those heroes that if you're just like, even like just, you know, you're like gonna start playing support, you can go Lucio and you can just kind of AoE heal on that one. So he said in bronze, no one groups up. No, that's fair. I like that. I like how I'm like, yeah, but the AoE heals. Chat goes, yeah, you're also assuming bronze players are near each other. Oh, you know, that's fair. All right, understandable. Okay, this is why we're learning, right? This is why I wanted to see these tier lists, because we talk about it all the time where I'm like, well, I think this hero will do well here, but now we're getting the tier list. All right? All right, so this tier list. All right, S tier. We got Wrecking Ball. I agree with. That S tier with Wrecking Ball is the only S tier tank we had. Sigma, Ramatra. I'm noticing something so far in these the bronze tier list so far. Ramatra is highly up there on tier list, and I think it's because of the ultimate. And Nemesis form. Sigma, surprised by that, but I guess the shield alone from Sigma is pretty good, so maybe that's why. Sojourn? I'm curious in this one. Is Sojourn S tier in bronze? Like, is Sojourn like that good in bronze? I'm curious on that one. Because this feels like, Sojourn's S tier. No, you know what? I don't even know if Sojourn's S tier right now. Believe it or not, currently. Junkrat, I agree with. S tier Junkrat, I think, and when I say I agree with, it's like, yeah, no, all the bronze games, like, I can see Junkrat dominated in a lot of bronze games, especially. Settlement, thanks for the feature friend. Thank you. Is Sombra S tier in bronze? All right, I was just wondering on that one. That's an interesting one. All right. Kiriko, Mercy, Ana. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you, chat. I actually, when I see this, especially like with this tier list, that's fine. I actually, believe it or not, I feel like all three of those heroes can get pretty good value. And it very much sounds like Ana gets a lot more value than I thought, mainly because of Ana Nade in general. So that seems fine, right? And once again, this is all, when I say that seems fine, it's like, you know, this is the experience the players have in their bronze games. Like, that's fine with me. I'm not gonna be like, no, it's right. What do you mean? Ana? It's like, that's why I'm asking chat. I'm like, is that how? I don't know. All right, A tier. Junker Queen, Reinhardt, Orisa. Starting with these three. Not surprised by Reinhardt and Orisa. I think these two heroes are very good in a lot of ranks, from what I can tell. You may not see Orisa played as much right now in top 500 because of the recent meta shift. Reinhardt's doing pretty well on ladder. On top of Reinhardt having a shield and creating space. Well, actually, wait. I guess it depends what the playstyle is. Junker Queen, surprised by that. Mainly because of the playstyle of Junker Queen. But maybe there's a lot of survivability happening with Junker Queen that happens, and that's just how it goes. Ashe, that seems fine. Especially in those long team fights, like dealing with an Ashe probably is just like so frustrating sometimes. And then when Bob happens, it's like, uh-oh. Yeah, so chat's saying because of Bob. Bastion, everything I've been hearing from a lot of, like, whenever we do tier list, Bastion is pretty strong in, like, bronze. I've been hearing Bastion's pretty strong in bronze. So I'm not surprised by that. Echo? It's funny because the other tier list we just looked at, Echo was, like, way lower on the list. Is Echo? I don't know. Echo? It doesn't seem like Echo would be, like... Oh, you're right, because Echo's a flying hero, right? That makes... See, this is the stuff, like, this is why I like doing this, because I'm also learning a lot about some stuff, too. Like, you're right, because Echo is a flying hero, so it's kind of like with Pharah, which I actually... And then Reaper, I have a feeling that on these bronze tier lists, the one thing we'll see consistent is probably Reaper and Reinhardt towards the top of the tier list. Soldier 76, not surprised. What I like about Soldier, and I think why Soldier does well in a lot of ranks, just it's a very basic kit. You got a healing station, you got a Helix rocket, you got your left click, right? And you have a sprint. It's an easy hero to kind of pick up. It's one of my favorite DPS to play. Good hero. Very surprised by Tracer in A tier. The only reason why I can see it being here is because even if you're not like one clipping people as Tracer, it's just really hard to hit Tracer. Pharah, probably the same thing as Echo. Widow, this is, okay, Widow is okay. So chat, you let me know on this one, because I'm learning on this one. Does Widow dominate like a lot of like bronze, silver, gold games? And I imagine Widow could, because even if like Widow's missing like 10 shots, what I've noticed in a lot of games is that the team fights last really long, which means that like if the team fights last really long, there's a lot of value there, right? You know what I mean? Like if the team fights last long for a while, like you can, you know, like you just eventually you can hit a shot, right? Like eventually you can just hit a shot. Sim, not surprised. Zenyatta in A tier. That surprises me, but you know, that just because, like I said, the glass cannon style. And then Lucio in A tier. This is where I thought Lucio would be more. Like I feel like Lucio will be on the higher end of a lot of the tier list rather than down here. I do see one hero already on this tier list I'm surprised by. Devo, Winston in B tier with Cassidy, Hanzo, Mei, Torb, Bap, and Brig. My take on all of that, I'm just gonna go through this one pretty quickly here. I am surprised Torb is in B tier. I thought Torb would be maybe in A tier. Because Torb's turret alone is just, in top 500 games, everybody in chat knows that the Torb turret, no one shoots it. You wanna know why no one shoots the Torb turret, by the way? Because everybody else thinks somebody else is gonna shoot the Torb turret. You know what happens? When all 5 players think somebody else is gonna shoot the Torb turret, you know what happens? The Torb turret pops off! Sorry, just going back to the Torb turret again here. C tier, Doomfist, Roadhog, Moira, Genji. Let's talk about this for a second. Doomfist is being played well in top 500, but I can see why Doomfist could struggle in some ranks because it just the hero takes quite a bit to get better at. Roadhog, yeah, with the Roadhog nerfs, I can see that. You just kind of run around the map, and you're probably not going to do the one-shot tech too much. Moira, very surprised by this. I was fully expected to see Moira in S tier or A tier in almost every bronze like submitted tier list, so I'm very surprised with that. Genji, it's weird because like I don't know where Genji's at. I hear that Genji dominates in a lot of games, and and obviously like as you climb up the ranks, Genji doesn't dominate as much. So it's like one of these like variations where like I imagine this is going to be like based off the experience of how the rank games are going. And then Zarya in D tier, that's fine. I mean, I can see it. I would probably move Zarya up a little bit, but I don't know how Zarya plays in bronze. Okay. Next tier list we have here, S tier. Honestly, this is kind of where I expected a lot of heroes initially. Junkrat, Wrecking Ball, Moira in S tier here. That is what I expect with Moira. It seems like Moira just dominates games. Wrecking Ball being in S tier, still, it's tough to say because I don't know how well Wrecking Ball is being played, but I can see that. Junkrat, not surprised one bit. The S tier here actually was like, not surprised. A tier, Cassidy, Doomfist, Diva, Echo, Junker Queen, Sojourn. Okay, is it me or has so far Junker Queen been on a different tier in each tier list so far? You said there's no way that... Okay, here's my take on, like, with Magnetic Grenade now, you at least guarantee, like, a headshot with that. So I can see Cass being up there. And Cass has a lot of survivability. Like the Magnetic Grenade alone is just so strong, I can see that. Diva in A tier, I'm okay. You know, I've been seeing Diva in A and B tier on a lot of these lists. Echo in A tier, that's the second time we've seen Echo. I guess what chat was saying is because they're flyers. Same with Pharah, we see Pharah here. Ramattra again. So far, I can consistently say Ramatra's been either A tier or S tier on these tier lists. Every time I've seen it. Torb, there we go. Torb in A tier, Mercy in A tier. Sojourn, I'm still surprised by. That Sojourn's placement on these tier lists has been very surprising to me so far. I was expecting Sojourn to be a little bit lower on the tier list, because I just didn't think Sojourn was being played that well, but this was the interesting part about learning about these. Then B tier, we got Ana, Ashe, Reinhardt. I thought Ryan would be higher than that. I have a feeling Reinhardt is going to be higher in most tier lists. Sigma B tier is more where I expected Sigma to be in a lot of the bronze games, but Reaper in B tier, I expected Reaper to be in A tier. I expected Reaper to be in A tier in almost every list. Soldier in B tier, Bap in B tier, Tracer in B tier, Orisa in B tier, Sim in B tier, Kiriko in B tier, Mei in B tier, Lucio in B tier, Genji in B tier, Hanzo in... Widow, what the... You know what this ended up being? Just B tier. This ended up just being B tier. It's like... Looking at this now, comparing it to the other two lists we've seen, it's like, it's such a different experience for like each list. And then C tier is Bastion. See, Bastion, I am surprised by that one. Because Bastion, I don't know, maybe I guess it also can be the hero the person's playing a lot, right? For example, Diva's on A tier, right? So let me, if you're playing Diva a lot, like in bronze, your experience against playing against Bastion, you could put Bastion in C tier because Diva's really, really good against Bastion, right? So maybe that also takes into account some of this too, right? So if for example, you know, Diva's being played a lot. Exactly. And then let's see, Bastion, Brig. I feel like Brig's gonna have such a variance of where Brig's on the tier list. Like, I have Brig in A tier in mine. Roadhog, Winston, Zarya, Zen. I'm surprised Winston's down here. But you know what? I wonder if the person who had submitted this tier list plays Diva. Because look at this. Bastion and Winston are in C tier. What is a hero that does well against those heroes? Diva. I didn't even take that into account with the tier list yet. Because if you end up playing like just Diva, or Diva's one of like your most played, right? Then that would make sense, because look at that. Sombra in D tier, not surprised. I've seen Sombra, well, like outside of the tier list, I put Sombra in S tier. And then Zen, yep, Zarya. So I've seen a lot of Zarya and Zen being rated like around this, yeah. Yep, no, this is a tank tier list. Yeah, okay, so this adds the context that you're talking about, Vent. This is a tank tier list. I'll show you why in a second. Okay, we have the S tier, Orisa, Sigma, Ramatra, Bastion, Reaper, Torb, Sim, Mercy, Moira. Hear me out. You play tank against Torb and Sim sometimes, can be difficult. I can see, this is, like I said, bronze tank here. Reaper, Bastion, which, I wonder what the hero pool is now, too. I'm thinking a lot of Orisa, Sigma, Ramatra. Ramatra, once again, high up there. Roadhog A tier. You're playing some Hog, too, aren't you? That's what's happening. Diva, Zarya, Ball. Okay, so far, this tier list, it was like, this is what happened. It's like, you know what? I play a lot of tanks, so I'm just gonna put them all in A tier if I don't play them in S tier. We got Roadhog, Diva, Zarya, Wrecking Ball, Winston, Reinhardt in A tier. Then Pharah, Junkrat, Cass, and Mei, which, once again, I can tell it's a tank submitted tier list because of Mei being an A tier a bit more too. I think it's making me frustrating sometimes as a tank. And B tier is Junker Queen, Doomfist, right? So all tanks with this tier list are B tier or above. And then Sojourn, Echo, Genji, Kiriko, Ana, Bap in B tier, which this is fine, I think. And then Hanzo in C tier is Hanzo, Soldier, Widow, Ashe, Brig, Zen. It's been quite the list. I'm seeing Zen consistently in the bronze tier list in C tier. Brig, I'm seeing in B or C. Ashe, I'm used to seeing a little bit higher than that. Same with Widow. Widow and Ashe, I mean, yeah. Soldier, usually higher than that. I can see Hanzo being there. D tier is Sombra, Tracer, Lucio. This is the second tier list we've had where Lucio's in D tier. What is this? I thought Lucio was going to be higher tier. And so far, I can tell what's happening on these tier lists. Players are either getting that Lucio on your team that you love having in your team. You're constantly healed up. Sometimes your Lucio even accidentally speed boost you because they hit the wrong button. Or you get the Lucio who has 1,500 damage, 800 healing. This is what's happening on these tier lists. I can tell. That is why we're seeing D tier Lucios or A tier Lucios. You're either getting every game where Lucio is on your team, accidentally speed boosting or healing you pretty well, or you're getting the Lucio who is literally. That's what it is. So you know what the best part about that is? Remember, this is a bronze tank user submitted list. All right? If you're a tank, look at the 3 tanks up here, outside of Ramatra, right? What is one of the supports that probably won't be able to heal you as well, especially if they're just not playing with the team or they're just running across the map? Lucio. What other 2 supports? Brig, Zen, where you don't have as much healing on the tank. See, I like that. This does make more sense when we look at the context of some of the heroes too. That's great. All right, this user, okay, support. This is support or an Orisa main. Orisa, Sigma, support main. All right? Wrecking Ball in S tier, Junkrat in S tier, Ramatra in S tier, Kiriko in S tier. I've seen these heroes be here quite a bit, so I understand that. Widow S tier, I've seen a variance of where Widow's at on these tier lists. My guess is that a lot of the ranked games you're playing, Widow's dominating. A tier is Ana, Ashe, Orisa, Sigma, Soldier, Sojourn, Symmetra, Cass, Tracer, Zen, Mei, Rein. Okay. That seems okay. I have one surprise hero on this tier list, but not bad actually. In comparison to what we've seen, B tier. I'm surprised by Reaper being B tier. I thought Reaper was gonna dominate towards A or S tier for some reason. See, we're learning. Diva's B tier. Bap is B tier. Echo, Junker Queen, Sombra? I'm surprised Torb isn't an A tier, and then Sombra, if you're going to put in Sombra here. Then you have Lucio, Moira, Brig, but once again, see, we have a Lucio in B tier now. You know this player is either playing Lucio or getting healed by... Actually, wait, I think they play a lot of Kiriko. Makes sense. Kiriko Lucio's a great comp. Yeah. Moira, Brig, Genji, Bastion, Reaper. Bastion and Reaper, I thought was going to be more an A tier, but I'm starting to see a trend of where a lot of heroes are being put towards the top. Bastion and Reaper are some of those. Ramattra is consistently an A or S tier. C tier is Roadhog, Doomfist, Mercy. I am surprised by Mercy in C tier. Winston, I've seen Winston down there too. Pharah, Zarya. This is an interesting C tier. I've consistently seen Roadhog and Doom in C tier or D tier on the bronze tier lists. I've seen that consistently. And then D tier is Hanzo. Here's my question to this, by the way. Is Hanzo D tier because Hanzo's D tier? Or is Hanzo D tier because you're getting headshot randomly across the map as random as possible? And you're just like, you know what? I ain't dealing with this. I'm putting Hanzo in D tier because I've had enough of this. I'm getting headshot across the map on cooldown. I'm not having this. You know what? D tier hero. I'm just putting, that's it. I can tell with that. That's great. We got one more tier list here. This is a bronze tank and DPS. And to give you an idea, they're bronze on tank, and it says next to their wins, games won 0. So that's all right. Ramatra's been, I will say this right now, the one hero I can consistently say has dominated this tier list is Ramatra. I am surprised. Ramatra must be dominating in bronze games. Ramatra, Kiriko, not surprised. Ana, Mercy, not surprised. Soldier, expecting more A tier. Junkrat, not surprised. Lucio, here we go again. Lucio's now an S tier. Lucio is either an S tier, maybe A or high B tier, or D tier. There hasn't been like a consistent spot for Lucio in these tier lists. And then Orisa. Yeah, Orisa I get. A tier. We got Devo, we got Ball, we got Cass, we got Sigma, we got Sojourn, we got Symmetra, we got Moira. Yep, seems about right. Except for, I'm still surprised by Sojourn. B tier, Reinhardt. I'm surprised by Rein. I've seen Rein more towards the top of the tier list. Bap, Bastion, Brig, Genji, Reaper, Tracer, Zarya, Widow, Hanzo, Ashe, Echo. Not bad. Only one thing I would say is that Zarya has been surprised to see Zarya in B tier. Okay, and then C tier. Pharah, Torb, Winston, Zen, Doom, Sombra, Mei. Hey, Doom's been consistently C tier, but like, and then D tier is Roadhog and Junker Queen. Junker Queen? Are you kidding me right now? You serious? You serious? Okay, you know what I've learned about the tier list today? I want to go even deeper into these tier lists and find out like what heroes are being played a ton, because I'm also realizing that in a lot of these ranked games, some of these tier lists can be made off of like what heroes being played a lot. Like for example, if like they play a lot of support and they just think that every Junker Queen they get feeds, then Junker Queen's in D tier automatically, right? Even if Junker Queen's not D tier. You know what I mean? That was interesting to see. Witcher in the chat took all of the tier lists, ranked them all, and then we finally got the bronze tier list. So this is what the bronze tier list is. Taking all 6 of the tier lists into one. Obviously, in future videos for this, I would probably like a larger sample size, but this is the tier list averaged out from all of the tier lists. Believe it or not, Ramatra was the S tier hero from all the tier lists prior. So this is the combined bronze tier list. We have Ramatra in S tier. That was the only hero that made it to S tier. We have Diva, Orisa, Reinhardt, Sigma, Wrecking Ball, somehow all in A tier. We have Cassidy, Junkrat, Reaper, Sojourn, Soldier, and Symmetra, all in A tier, right? And then Ana, Kiriko, Mercy, and Moira. This is averaged out between the 6 tier lists. So that's your A tier heroes according to all of the tier lists combined into one. Honestly, I'm not surprised. A lot of these heroes here I've heard are really strong in bronze games. But Ramatra is a lot higher up than I thought Ramatra would be, because I did not... My guess is the ultimate just dominates in bronze games. In B tier, we have Junker Queen Winston, Ashe, Bastion, Echo Genji, Mei, Pharah, Torb, actually, I was surprised to see that. I thought Torb would be more towards A tier. Tracer, Widow, Bap, Lucio, Brig, and Zen. And then in C tier, which I kept mentioning that when we were looking at the other tier list, that Doomfist and Roadhog in C tier, Zarya in C tier, and then Hanzo and Sombra. So this is the bronze tier list. This is where the bronze players had put all the heroes averaged out. This is it. Here you go. Oh, yeah, it'll be a good one. So if you do want to submit tier lists on my Discord, there's going to be a section that is a tier list for the rank that we're doing at the time. All right? And there we go.